Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. My name is Sudhir Sahasranaman and you're watching CBSE with Sudhir. Today's video is going to be about chapter number 3 of social science for class 7. We've already done it in Hindi, so those students who want to understand it in Hindi can see it in Hindi. And one more request, too many of you do not know how to adjust the settings on YouTube and keep sending messages. Oh, we are not able to get it. I don't like your voice. I record in my original voice in Hindi and in English separately. You need to adjust your YouTube settings to ensure that you hear the original voice. There are two options, original voice or the dubbed voice in whatever language you want to listen to. So please learn to make adjustments on your YouTube. The mistake is not at my end. Okay. So this chapter is about climates of India and we are going to do it in two parts, just like we did Hindi. This is going to be entirely in simple English explanation for students, especially from the southern part of India, from the north, eastern and the eastern part of India who may be more comfortable understanding it in English. Okay, so what exactly is the climates of India? Before I start, just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and after you see the video, only after you see both videos, share the videos with at least 3 of your batchmates and your juniors next year. Sharing is caring. Okay, one more thing. Many of you have been asking me which is the best question bank to buy, and only now the good quality question banks have started coming into the market. So after having done research and survey, this is what we are recommending: the Oswald Books question banks, which I believe are the most exhaustive. For example, this one is for social science, right? Based on your latest NCERT textbook. Now, why am I recommending this? Because this contains notes, which you have been asking for, mind maps, very important for revision. All your textbook questions answers are given, extra questions, and 2 practice test papers at the end of the book. So that's an advantage of buying these question banks for all the 6 subjects: English, maths, science, social science, Hindi, and Sanskrit. Sanskrit particularly because I'm not teaching Sanskrit. Okay, so this is a question bank. For example, I'll just show you. Let me just show you one mind map. For example, this is chapter 8, which we haven't done so far. This is the kind of mind map that you get where you are able to see, and this is really very helpful at revision time, right? So if you want to buy, you can go to oswaldbooks.com, their website, and before you make the purchase, ensure that you use this discount coupon if you want to save money for your parents, Sudhir 10, and you will be able to get additional discount on whatever book you purchase from that particular website. That's a recommendation I am making. So this is an information note. Let's get down to business now of understanding climate, right? I've kept the chapter out here. Okay, so the textbook also I want you to keep it alongside so that you can keep referring to it as we go along. So these are the different questions that we are going to tackle in this particular chapter. That what is it about India's climate that it's so diverse? You know, the climate of a Rajasthan is so different from the climate of a Goa and a Kerala, is very different from the climate of a Meghalaya, right? What is it that makes our country's climate so diverse and therefore so extremely wonderful? How are the monsoons? What are the monsoons? How are they formed? Fascinating. What is the effect of climate? Because you need to understand, you know, the predictions that is made, you know, weather forecast and the climate of a particular area has a huge bearing on the kind of economy, on the kind of social and cultural life in that particular part of India, and why understanding climate is very useful in order to prepare for natural disasters, right? If we know that this is an earthquake prone region, we should be careful not to construct dams out there. You understand what I'm trying to say? So understanding the climate, the topography of an area is extremely important. Okay, and finally in part 2 we will also talk about climate change, which is such a modern concept in today's day and age. Okay, so let's first understand, which is a very normal confusion, what is the difference between weather and climate? Because the general tendency is to use these words almost as if they're synonyms of each other. They are not synonyms. Okay, weather and climate are have two different meanings. Let's understand weather. We've already done weather in the previous chapter, understanding the weather, which is chapter number 2. I hope you have seen the video. Weather, which in Hindi is referred to as mausam, refers to the daily or short-term conditions of the atmosphere. How is the weather in Chennai today? How is the weather in Hyderabad today? Right? So it is a daily, okay, or a very short-term kind of thing. What is the weather prediction for the next couple of days? Right? So we are talking about short-term in a particular place. And what does it include? It includes changes in temperature. So it includes the changes in temperature, rainfall, humidity. How is, I believe your city is extremely humid over the next 1 week, right? So the humidity levels are higher. So all that will come under weather. It won't come under climate. Climate, I will tell you in a bit, right? For example, if it rains today, right, it has been raining in many parts of India right now, or it is very hot in the afternoon, that is the weather. Oh, the weather was extremely hot and humid this afternoon. So weather can change even from hour to hour. Oh, at 2 o'clock it was so sunny, but now by 5 o'clock, look at the weather. It is pouring now, right? So the weather can change. So weather is really short term. It can be a day, it can be less than a day, it can even be 1 or 2 days. Okay, I hope this is clear, right? What is climate now? Now, climate in Hindi is referred to as Jalvayu. That is referred to as Mausam. This is called Jalvayu. Now, climate is the average weather pattern in a particular place over a long period of time. Like, for example, we are told that, oh, Rajasthan has a very hot and dry climate, right? Kerala, most cities, like if you go to Kochi or you go to Visakhapatnam on the east coast, that has a very hot and humid kind of a climate, right? So that you are referring to as a more long term, a long pattern kind of, the weather conditions. So the weather pattern of a place over a long period of time is referred to as climate. Climate tells us what kind of weather a particular place generally has throughout the year. For example, Rajasthan, as I just now said, has a hot and dry climate. Kerala has a warm and wet climate. And unlike weather, climate changes slowly over many years. So this is important. It is not short term. Climate is long term. I hope this is clear. For example, this picture that you see is of a place, is a home in a hilly area, and you can see the kind of cloud formation. So that would be generally the climate in that part of the country, right? The third term that you need to understand clearly is season. Okay, what are seasons? Now, seasons occur as the earth revolves around the sun. Okay, each season, summer season lasts for 3 to 4 months, winter season, let's say from November till February, the rainy season also we talk about, right? So they occur for a few months, and every year they come at more or less the same time. For example, we know by and large that December and January of every year will be the winter months, right? In most countries, right? Whether it's India or America, it will be the winter months when it will be very cold. April, May will be hot in most parts of the country, right? So seasons occur in a cycle. They recur every year at more or less the same time, and they are related. The season is related to both weather as well as climate. See, the three terms are interrelated, but there is a difference, and I hope after this video you will have clarity on what exactly is meant by weather, what is meant by climate, and what is meant by season, right? Now the weather changes with the season. From summer to winter, the weather changes, right? The climate is this thing. Oh, this has this kind of climate in the summer, but during winter it has this kind of climate, right? During the summers, Hyderabad is extremely hot, but during the winter months it has a very moderate kind of climate. It doesn't get very cold and it's not very hot, so it's very pleasant kind of weather, right? So that's how you talk about the pattern of seasons in a region is closely connected with the climate. That is, the season and the climate are directly interconnected of a particular place. So what are the four main seasons? Spring, autumn, summer, and winter, right? Now, India also receives rainfall during a specific period of time, which is generally from June till about September, the main southwest monsoon, and then there is a winter monsoon that happens in a few areas, that happens in October to December, right? We will read about that. So in India, the year is divided into 6 seasons, which in Hindi is known as ritus. Okay. Vasant Ritu, which is known as the spring season, Grishma Ritu, which is known as the summer season, Varsha Ritu, which is known as the rainy season, Sharad Ritu, which is known as the autumn season, Hemanta, which is the pre-winter time, right? We are talking about the October time, and Shishir is the winter season, right? So these are the 6 seasons that you notice in India. That is spring, autumn, summer, winter to ho gaya. We already learned that. Then we add the rainy season, the monsoon season, the Varsha season, and then we have the Hemant season, which is the just the period before winter sets in. That is the time between autumn and uh, winter. In the USA, autumn is referred to as the fall, FALL. When is leaves start falling, that's why it's referred to as the fall, the month of September. Right? Some beautiful illustrations I have put for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, let's come to the rhythm of the seasons. What exactly is meant by that? Now, we call it the rhythm of the seasons because there are specific festivals, specific rituals, specific practices which are associated. You do, like Holi is played at the end of spring, Basant Panchami again during spring season, right? So every season, like you have in Telangana, you have the Bonalu, which is celebrated during the, which is observed during the monsoon season. It's basically to pray to the goddess to protect the people against rain-borne or water-borne diseases during the monsoon season, be it malaria or dengue, etc. Right? So you have rituals, you have festivals which are associated specifically with these particular festivals. So human life, plant life, and animal life, all three of them are in rhythm with the ritus or the seasons. So whether it is the crops which are grown, that you grow a particular crop during a particular season, the food that you eat again during a particular season, the clothes, will you wear a big jacket during the summer season of April and May? Obviously you will not, right? People will say, isko kya ho gaya, what is wrong with them, right? They change with the season. Then trees, shrubs, they bloom in the spring season, right? The trees shed leaves during the autumn, as I just now told you, the fall. Then some animals develop thick fur in the cold winter months. Why do they do so? So that it gives them protection from the cold winter. So with the change of the season, there are all these kind of changes that take place. The animals develop thick fur, we wear those kind of warm clothes to protect ourselves from the cold. Now, what are the different types of climate in India? India, obviously, we know, is a large country, and therefore it's an extremely diverse country. It's just like, we people observe different festivals in different parts of India. People speak different languages, different dialects in different parts of India. Similarly, our climate also is extremely diverse, right? And it is very fascinating to understand all this. And I do hope you show interest. सो तो नहीं गए ना, उठो उठो उठो, alarm clock लगाऊं. So I do hope I can ensure that you remain interested in what we are learning. Okay, now in the north, the Himalayan mountains have an alpine climate. Now, what exactly do we mean by the word alpine? Alpine, the features of alpine climate is that they are cold. Okay, there is snow during the winters. If you go to Kashmir or Himachal during the winter months of December, Jan, you will find snowfall, in places like Gulmarg, Pahalgam, there is absolutely snow. The Dal Lake in Srinagar freezes during the winter months, right? So you have that kind of a climate in the winter months in the higher reaches of the Himalayas, right? So that is known as the alpine climate. Cold, snowy winters, but the summers are cool, right? They won't be hot like it would be in a place like, let's say, Delhi or Jaipur. It would be cool summers, right? So during the winter months, you obviously need very thick clothing, right? You need to protect yourself from the cold winter. When you come down a little bit from the Himalayas, you come down in many, we are still on the hills, but they are not as hilly as in Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. You come down to, let's say, in Uttarakhand kind of place, you will find that the climate is a little more moderate. It's a little more what we call temperate climate, right? The features are moderately cold winters. The winters won't be as cold as it would be in Srinagar, but it would still be cold, right? And the summers also will not be very hot, right? And people visit these kind of hill stations for relief from heat in the plains. During the summers, you will find the Nainital, the Mussoorie, the Kulu Manali, etc. They'll be crowded because everyone from the cities, the Delhi, the UP, Jaipur, etc., they would all go to the hills in order to feel better. In the northern plains, when you come down to the plains, okay, the climate is subtropical. Please remember that thing. Temperate there, this is alpine, temperate, and this is subtropical. Okay, when you keep, we are coming down, okay, very hot summers, like in a place like Delhi, and very cold winters, again, a place like Delhi. Most of India's wheat is grown in these regions, especially in the Gangetic belt of Uttar Pradesh. In the western part, that is the Rajasthan and some parts of Haryana, but mainly Rajasthan, the Thar desert has an what is called as an arid climate. I am again telling you, you may get a match the following. So you may get a place like, let's say, Srinagar, okay, Srinagar, let's say Nainital, let's say Delhi, and let's say Jaisalmer. Okay, these are the four this thing, and then you will have the match the following, and you will have different kind of thing. For example, A will be subtropical, arid, temperate, alpine. Okay, so you need now to match the following. So Srinagar will go with alpine, Nainital will go with temperate, Delhi will go with subtropical, Jaisalmer will go with arid. So you need to be able to do that. So I hope you're understanding what kind of questions you could possibly get in a concept like this. So as I'm saying, just apply this thing. You could develop some kind of a code by which you could remember these things. Okay. So the Thar desert, the desert area in Rajasthan, has an arid climate. Arid is another word for dry. Okay. Very hot days, but during the night it gets very cool. Also, we will learn about the sand, etc. in the science lesson. There is a separate chapter called heat transfer in nature, which I think is chapter number 7, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I've been preparing for that. Extremely hot days, cool nights, little rainfall. Okay, which is why you have those kind of plants like cactus growing in the Thar desert. And people have to develop ways to collect and save water because water is in short supply. You can see the photograph which I have put below. Okay, this is the other kind, the subtropical kind of, actually the temperate kind of region. Then as we come down and down, now we have the sea on the three sides, Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, and the Bay of Bengal. So the western coastal strip, that is Kerala, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra, right? Gujarat. So the western coastal region of India, it receives very heavy rainfall during the monsoon, creating a tropical wet climate. Okay, and this area is very favorable for growing rice and spices. Okay, these are spices and rice, both are grown a lot in Kerala in particular because it receives very heavy rainfall, and rice in particular you do need, along with sugarcane, you do need a lot of water. Then you have the western coast, that is I'm talking about like this. So this is the western coast that we are talking about. This is where Kerala is. Now we talk about the central Deccan Plateau. Okay, the central Deccan Plateau, this is the central Deccan Plateau. It has what is called a semi-arid climate. Its features are hot summers. There is a lot of rock formation, so it gets very hot. Mild winters, as I said, it gets very hot, but in the winters, November, December, January, February, the weather is fantastic, right? Moderate rainfall, actually not moderate, it's very heavy rainfall during the rainy season. The eastern, now this is the eastern strip, right? And the southern peninsula, they have a tropical climate. Why do they have a tropical climate? Because of this entire Bay of Bengal, which is there. It includes mild winter and distinct wet and dry periods controlled by the monsoon winds, about which we will study little more in detail later on in this chapter. So you have seen this, right? different parts of India having different kind of climate, right? I hope you are able to understand and appreciate this. That's why this part of the chapter is extremely important. Now, let's understand the geographical reason for this. Now we've already studied about latitude and longitude. When did we study? Previous year in class 6, right? The latitude and the longitude. Now, while the climate around the equator, right? Around the equator, if this is the equator, is extremely hot. Places which are around the equator are very, very hot places. But as the latitude increases, as the latitude increases and goes towards the North Pole and the South Pole, upwards and downwards, the temperature becomes more and more cold. The climate in Antarctica, which is near the South Pole, is freezing cold. The temperature in Greenland, Iceland, near the North Pole is freezing cold, right? So why is it so is the question that has been asked out here, and I'm going to provide you with the answer. Everything will be here. Take screenshots and keep. The climate becomes colder as latitude increases, goes northwards or goes southwards, because of the way the sunlight reaches the earth. Now that's why I put this particular illustration. The sun is here, and look at the way it will hit the sun's rays, will hit at different parts, right? It won't hit in the same way. You see, if you are, for example, if you are standing here and if there is a bulb out here, the bulb's reflection on my head, which will also reflect a lot, will be the sharpest out here, right? But if there is a bulb kept here, it is going to hit me at an angle, right? From here or here. So the rays won't be as sharp as it is here. From here, it will be at a different angle. The same way, at the equator, the sun's rays hit the earth directly. For example, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, if you go and stand on the road, the sun will be directly above you, right? It will be hitting you directly. It will be the hottest, that's why I say 12 o'clock around, don't go out in the sun, because the sun will be very hot. But when it is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the sun's rays are going to hit at an angle, so the heat won't be generated that much. Same way, the sun's rays hit the earth directly or almost vertically at the equator. This means a small area is receiving a lot of heat. A small area is receiving a lot of heat, the equator areas, right? So that's the reason the climate around the equator is extremely hot. As we move away from the equator, go upwards or go downwards on the globe, the sun's rays are hitting at a different angle, right? They're hitting at a slant, right? What we call a slant. Please read this answer. You will understand what I'm talking about. The same amount of sunlight is therefore now spread over a larger area. Earlier it is focused. Now it is from here, it is kind of spread over a larger area. If my head is an earth, okay, I'm not afraid of making fun of myself. If my head is an earth, if this is the equator, it will hit directly the sun. But when the sun has come here, when it is hitting, it is going to cover the area from here to here. So a larger area is getting covered by the same amount of sunlight, and therefore it has to pass through more part of this Earth's atmosphere, and this reduces the heat which is received by our planet Mother Earth. Okay, and therefore the climate is milder, and therefore it is comparatively to the equator areas, it is a little cold. Is that clear? So the higher the latitude towards the North Pole or towards the South Pole, the less heat an area gets from the sun and the colder the climate becomes. Is that clear? Now, for example, in India, Kanyakumari, which is the southernmost tip of India and therefore the closest to the equator, because our country is above the equator. If this is the equator, our country is above, right? So this is Kanyakumari. This is Andaman and Nicobar Islands, right? So this is the closest to the equator. So therefore, Kanyakumari is warm because it is the closest point of India to the equator. You go to Sri Lanka, that will be even more hot, even more than Kerala, Kanyakumari, and the rest of Tamil Nadu, right? So that is what. Places like Srinagar, which are in the north, they are colder because they are further away from the equator. Simple funda. Okay, this is a photograph. This is the same funda is about Andaman and Nicobar Islands. This is a photograph of 2018 when we had gone to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Fascinating place. I strongly recommend each one of you should take a holiday there. Beautiful place, beautiful beaches, a lot of history to see, great tourist destination. This is from Srinagar, and this is Kanyakumari. This is the Vivekananda rock, and this is the statue of the poet Saint Tiruvallur. Okay, these are photographs of my family. If you may want to see it, this is Teju, my daughter, when they had gone to Kashmir in 2016. This is my dad. This is my sister and Teju. This is my mother with Teju. This is when they had gone to Kashmir. I didn't go. My wife didn't go. We were at work. So these are some beautiful pictures from their Kashmir trip. Now let's come to altitude. Altitude, the basic meaning is height. Okay. The hill stations are at higher altitudes and therefore they have a cooler climate. By now you have understood it. What are the examples of hill stations? Munnar in Kerala, Mandalam, which is whose shorter name is Ooty, which is in Tamil Nadu near Coimbatore, Madikeri in Karnataka, Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra, Mount Abu in Rajasthan, Shimla in Himachal Pradesh, Nainital in Uttarakhand, Darjeeling in West Bengal, and Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, these are all popular hill stations where people go to have a holiday, right? Now, temperature decreases as altitude increases because atmospheric. What's the reason? Now, this also can come as a question, as a reasoning question as to why something happens. Okay. Now, temperature decreases, temperature goes down as altitude increases because atmospheric pressure and air density decrease as the height goes up. Altitude goes up, what goes down? Atmospheric pressure, which is why you find it difficult to breathe when you go on a hill station. We have studied that in our science lectures. And also the air density. The air density goes down, right? Less dense air is cooler. The sun heats the Earth's surface, so air is less hot further away from the surface, right? So that's how the mountains, you find it is becoming more and more cold. The Himalayas are more so high that many peaks stay above the water's freezing point and therefore are always covered in snow, which is why you feel so cold when you are on those kind of mountains. So please remember this, take a screenshot because this one is important as a reasoning question, the second paragraph. I hope you're also looking at the illustrations which I've got for you. They're beautiful because I find the pictures in the book not very interesting. So this is to make it visually interesting for you. Now let me tell you an interesting reasoning question. Okay. Read the question and then I will read the question and then I will tell you the answer, explain the answer to you. It is talking about two cities. I mean, one is the city of Coimbatore, which is the second largest city in Tamil Nadu, in the western part of Tamil Nadu, and it's also called Kovai in Tamil. Okay, but you can learn Coimbatore. It's okay. Its Tamil name is Kovai. Okay, Ooty is a hill station which is near. I mean, you land at Coimbatore. Okay, you land in Coimbatore, and then you travel upwards to go to Ooty hill station. Now, in terms of latitude, both of them are at the same latitude. Then why is it that the range of summer temperatures in Ooty is 15 to 25 degrees, 10 to 25 degrees, while that of Coimbatore is 25 to 30? Coimbatore gets very hot. Ooty remains cool. Why is it? What's the difference? Why is the reason? What's the reason is what the question is. So the answer you need to give is this, that the big difference in their summer temperature is because of the difference in altitude. That latitude plays a role, but altitude also plays a role, which is why these are all the factors which are affecting the climate, right? So which is why we need to understand that in this case, more than the latitude, it is the altitude that is making a difference. Ooty is a hill station which is located at a higher altitude. How much? 2,200 meters above sea level. While Coimbatore is in the plain area at a lower altitude, just 400 meters above sea level. So what's the difference? 1800 meters ka difference hai in height between Coimbatore and Ooty. Okay. Students from Tamil Nadu, give me a hi. Tell me whether idellam puriyarda illaya already idellam theriyuma ungalku. Okay. Now, as we go above sea level, the air becomes cooler and thinner as we go in that Ghat section to Ooty, right? If there are students from Coimbatore, give a shout. Okay. That's why Ooty has a cool climate even during summers. In contrast, the lower climate, as you come down towards Coimbatore, it receives more heat and the air is dense, whereas the air in Ooty will be what? It will be less dense, and therefore the air in Coimbatore, it traps more warmth, making the temperature higher. You need to write this kind of an answer giving details to get those full 2 or 3 marks. Okay. Now, the third factor that we are going to now discuss is proximity to the sea. What's the meaning of the word proximity? The meaning of the word proximity is nearness. You know, how near you are to the sea. This is a beautiful illustration that I have got of Chennai's Marina Beach. Students from Chennai, give me a shout. Okay. Okay. இப்போ சென்னையோட மரீனா பீச் பத்தி நம்ம இங்க பேசலாம். Okay. So temperatures in coastal areas, be it Chennai, be it Vishakhapatnam, be it Kakinada, be it Kochi on the west coast, Mumbai, Goa, Mangalore, okay, all these cities on the coast, even Kolkata to that extent, the temperatures in the coastal areas do not vary much. Summers are not very hot, winters are not very cold. Okay, summers are not very hot, winters are not very cold in the coastal areas. Okay, now the reason is because the sea, be it the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea, it acts as a moderator for the temperature. As you can see in the illustration, okay, this I've tried to make the Basant Nagar or the Iliad's beach. Okay, now the sea acts as a moderator for the temperature. What does this mean? And this is something which you'll again study in detail in the heat transfer in nature chapter in science. Okay, here we will focus only on the geographical part of it. The land heats and cools very quickly, okay, while the sea heats and cools slowly. Okay, so sea takes more time to heat up and cool down, whereas the land is quicker in getting more hot and also getting more cool. Okay, not in cool, cools slowly, heats up quickly. Sorry, I'm getting confused. The sea acts as a moderator. This is the problem, you know, when you say things very fast. I repeat, and this time I'll say it correctly. The land heats and cools quickly. The sea gets heated and cools down slowly. Okay, so this is the smarter guy, this is the rabbit, this is the tortoise. Okay, the sea is the tortoise, the land is the rabbit. Okay, now you understand. So therefore the coastal regions tend to be more temperate. Moving inland, when you come inside the coast, the temperatures become more extreme. For example, if you're traveling from Vishakhapatnam towards Hyderabad, Vishakhapatnam will be a temperate climate, but as you move towards inside, towards places like Hyderabad, there it will get more extreme, which is like high temperature summers and mild winters. Let me take you to Mumbai. Okay, are you students from Mumbai? Give me a shout. This is the famous what? Marine Drive. Chennai has the Marina Beach. Mumbai has the beautiful Marine Drive. This is known as the Queen's Necklace. Beautiful site. If you're there, I was there in March and I was staying at Nariman Point at the Trident. So we spent a lot of time on the Marine Drive. Okay, now the Mumbai example. Now Mumbai, which is near sea, and you compare it with Nagpur, which is again a inside the plateau, this thing, Nagpur, Hyderabad kind of cities. Now these are both at similar latitudes. See, I've already given you the example of Ooty versus Coimbatore. Now let's compare two other cities which are at the same latitude, but here the factor which is making a difference is not altitude but proximity to the sea. You get my point? Mumbai, which is right on the sea, has cooler summers about 32 degrees, milder winters about 18 degrees, and the temperature range between the maximum and the minimum is about 14 degrees Celsius. Okay, is that clear? 32 minus 18. The summers in Nagpur, which is known as the Orange City, because beautiful, I mean, tasty oranges are grown there, the temperatures can go up to 44 compared to Mumbai, which will go up to 32. But because of the humidity, you will feel very sweaty and hot. but temperature in Nagpur can go up to 44 degrees. Similarly, temperature in Hyderabad can go up to 43, 44, but the temperature in Visakhapatnam will not go to 43, 44. It will be in the 30s. Okay, but that will have a temperate climate. This will be more of the hot climate. The winters can go up to 10 degrees in Nagpur, and the temperature range here is 34 degrees, much more than in Mumbai, right? So this is another question that you can get. The difference between Mumbai and Nagpur, they are both on the same latitude, but why is the temperature range so different in Nagpur from Mumbai? I hope this is clear. The fourth factor which affects the climate is winds. And for this, we need to go to the Himalayas and the Thar Desert. Okay. Now, the winds, what do? They move masses of warmer, like, warm air or cool air. It moves from one place to another. So winds from the desert, which will obviously be a little more hot winds in the west, from Arabia, from Afghanistan, etc., they bring very hot and dry air into Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and that's what causes the heat waves in summer. Students in Delhi, etc., would be familiar with this term called Lu. Lu essentially does not mean bath washroom. It essentially means the hot winds which blow, especially during the summers in the northern part of India. These are winds coming from the western direction into India, right? In winter, what happens, as you can see in the second illustration, the cold winds from the Himalayas, from across the Himalayas, bring cold winds to the Himalayan foothills. Whichever towns, hill stations are there in the foothills of Himalayas, they bring the cold winds. So during the winter, it is like this, the second illustration. During the summer, it is the hot winds, which are known as the Lu. The winds affect the precipitation, which means the rainfall. It affects the humidity of a particular area. And the winds from the sea, which is the Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, which are the Kochi, the Visakhapatnam, the Chennai kind of cities. The winds from the sea bring moisture and they cause rainfall, about which we will study right now in this particular chapter. And the example, as I have written in red, is the monsoon winds. I hope this is clear. Now, let's now come to the topography. What exactly is the topography? What's the meaning of the word topography? Topography is essentially the entire physical surface of a particular area, right? For example, if you are if you are a student, let's say in Ooty, that means you live on a hill, right? If you are, let's say, somewhere in Chennai, that means you are by the seaside, or in Mumbai, right? So it is the totality of the physical surface features of an area. It could be mountains, it could be hills, it could be valleys, right? It could be slopes, right? If your house is somewhere on a slope which is neither right on the top nor in the bottom, right? Or it could be in a coastal area, like I said, Visakhapatnam or Chennai. And that location plays an important role in determining what kind of climate your place will have. So let's look at the first one. The first one is the Himalayas. So the Himalayas, as we can see, this huge, mighty Himalayas that we have, they protect the Indian subcontinent from the cold winds from the Central Asian deserts, from Mongolia, Tibet, etc. The cold winds which come. Imagine if there were no Himalayas. This is India. Let's assume that this side is India. This is the Himalayas, and the cold winds from Mongolia, Tibet, etc. blowing into this area. If there were no Himalayas, if there is nothing, all this would come here and this area would get completely frozen. But because we have this great security guard barrier called the Himalayas, it protects the subcontinent, the entire subcontinent, right? Great feature. The second important topography is that of the Thar Desert, largely in Rajasthan. It offers no protection from hot and dry, because just imagine if the Himalayas were there where the desert is, right? At the India-Pakistan border, let's assume, right? In Rajasthan, like if this part is Rajasthan, let's assume that the Himalayas were there. So if the Himalayas were there, then you will not have any no hot and dry winds blowing from Arabia and Afghanistan into India, right? But since it is a flat desert, it offers no protection from the hot and dry winds, right? The third important topographical feature is that of the Western Ghats. Very important. And I come from a place where the Western Ghats play an extremely important role. That is the state of Kerala. The Western Ghats are the ones which are there bordering Kerala, right? And because the monsoon winds come and hit the Western Ghats, so all that rainfall falls in Kerala. Because when you hit, there is a collision and the clouds precipitation happens, all the rainfall falls in Kerala, which is why you don't get rainfall in Tamil Nadu. The Western Ghats are between Kerala and Tamil Nadu, right? So the Western Ghats are between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. If this is Kerala, this is Tamil Nadu, the Western Ghats are somewhere here. So the monsoon winds come and hit the Western Ghats. So all the rainfall falls in Kerala, and Tamil Nadu does not get that much of rainfall during the southwest monsoon, the main monsoon season starting from the end of May and lasting till September, which is why Tamil Nadu gets rain only during what is called the winter monsoon or the retreating monsoon. I will teach you in a while. Finally, we come to the end of the first video. We are going to look at microclimate. What exactly is microclimate? And as you can see this wonderful illustration that I have presented for you, what exactly do I mean? Microclimate is a climate which is localized in a small area. What I mean by that is that, for example, I'll give you an example. There are Teju, for example, my daughter, she studied in an engineering college which is about 25 kilometers from Chennai. And it was spread over a large area, which was before, at one time, I assume it was a bit of a forest area, a lot of greenery. So what happens is that because there is so much of green cover in that area where the college university is now located, what they say is that the microclimate inside the university is at least 2 degrees less than that of the rest of the city, right? The rest of the city, if it is at 35 degrees, the microclimate inside this university, because of the green cover, because of the water bodies, is at least 2 degrees less. So microclimate is the climate which is localized in a small area, and it differs from the climate of the adjoining region. So if you are seeing this particular illustration, so you are seeing this entire city out here. Now, because there is so much of congestion, so much of construction, so much of pollution because of vehicles, etc., and factories, you can see the smoke blowing out, which you have there. So the microclimate of this particular circle in the between will be much more higher temperature compared to the greenery that you can see on the outskirts. Now that part, the microclimate will be lower, right? Same way, what I just now said, Teju's university was 25 kilometers from the city. So there the microclimate was lower. So she would have been, her university would be located, let's say, somewhere here. So her climate, her temperatures would be significantly lower compared to the temperatures in the main city. You're getting my point? I've explained to you with the help of an example. So when we speak about microclimate, we are talking about temperature, humidity, precipitation, that's the amount of rainfall that you will get in a smaller geographical area, right? We can talk about some enclosed valleys. I give you the example of this particular forest area, urban heat islands. Like we will say the microclimate of this particular city will be much higher temperature compared to the microclimate of the area around it. Okay, so what are urban heat islands? This is another question that you could possibly get. I'll give you a test paper later. Okay, of course you can look at this book's practice paper and the questions here, good questions for practice. I will give you some more later on, okay, on this channel. Urban heat islands are cities with many buildings and concrete structures like what we are seeing out here, and there is little vegetation, there is little greenery, so they end up trapping heat. So the inside is very hot, so you need to use air conditioners all the time, and therefore they are warmer compared to the surrounding areas. And microclimates can influence local flora, vegetation, what kind of flowers, fruits, vegetables are grown, what kind of birds and animals come, whether butterflies come there or not, whether we get all kinds of insects, what kind of crops can be grown there, whether people feel healthy out there. All this can be a result of the microclimate. So microclimate is another part which you need to be conversant with, and urban heat islands can come as a question in your test paper. Okay, so what we are going to do is to pause now. Okay, what we are going to do in the second part is what is shown in the illustration. We are going to discuss monsoon, we are going to discuss floods, how to tackle floods, We are going to discuss cyclones, which is an important uh, element, and then you need to understand and remember it. And we are going to finally discuss climate change. All this explanation will come in the next video. Now, what you need to do is to share the video with at least 3 other batchmates and your juniors next year. Tata, bye bye. I will see you in Climates of India Part 2 video very soon. Till then, take care, be good, be healthy, okay? And do good to everyone else. It's always good to have a great heart. Okay, Tata, bye bye.